Brian Branch, though, to his credit, I was hard on Brian Branch the last pod, and he had a pretty good game. I think the last catch that the Packers made was on Brian Branch, which is unfortunate. But before that, he had a big breakup on third down. So yeah, man, it wasn't a lot of positives to take from that game and go.
Brian Branch had a up and down game, man. Him and Meek, man, they made good and bad plays. There was a play on at the beginning where the Packers scored a touchdown. Yeah, they looked like Brian Branch led up, and if he had just kept running, um, he would have been make a play on it. But I don't know if it seemed like he was doing that a lot. It seemed like he was like I don't know how they handle the zone, but it seemed like once Brian Branch got to the end of his zone, he just kind of stopped and let up. And you know what I'm saying? Even though you're still in a position to make a play, I don't know what you're supposed to do if you're supposed to let the last man take over, but it just felt like they were taking advantage of those in between spots of the zone.
Pretty much what Green Bay did in week one, they pretty much did the same thing in this game. The last time that the Lions needed JMO to step up and be a number one receiver, it did not work at all. But yesterday, when Saint went down, who I know you were asking about an update. The most I've heard is he's at least going to miss the next game, and then I think they'll go from there. But Saint went down yesterday, and JMO pretty much had to step up and be wide receiver number one. What are your thoughts on how he did in that position yesterday?
Um, I was impressed is a strong word. Um, like I said, I feel like our offense played better yesterday than it has in a few weeks. Um, I don't want to say they were great because I don't want to say they were great, but the line looked a little bit better than it has. Uh, Golf had a couple iffy throws, but for the most part, he was making the throws when he needed to, and we strung together a couple of drives. Now, um, so and JMO did step up. JMO stepped up. He made some plays that we needed, especially his little, especially the play he made to the flats where he made the spin move and ran 30 yards for the touchdown. So I would say JMO did step up for the most part. Now, when we needed a clutch play from him at the end of the game, he dropped the ball. And I don't know, man, that drop almost negated almost everything that he did because
Wow.
I mean, it's like, yeah, you had a great game, but when we needed you to make the clutch, the clutch play that could have put us in a position to win the game, you fumbled or you dropped the ball. You know what I'm saying? You figuratively and literally dropped the ball. So I think that JMO had a good game, but that drop was bad, man. It was almost as bad as the drop that Saint had on that fourth down in the what was that, the Chiefs game? So yeah, man. That's where I'm
I
at with it.
oh man, I got people in the background making me laugh. Um, so I that's I mean that's So what would you say to the fact that ball, JMO was looking for that ball to be out in front, and he essentially threw a back shoulder pass to JMO while his full momentum was carrying him in the opposite direction?
Nah, it was not a good throw. But I'll say the same thing that I said about Saint when it happened to Saint. It hits you in the hands, you got to catch it.
Mm.
Um, thanks. Um, I'm not saying that made I'm not saying that made Jamo's game a bad game, but I'm holding him to the same standard that I'm holding Saint to.
Jamo had a very emotional reaction after that drop catch, that drop pass. And I would love to like teleport right to the sideline and hear what he was saying, because was it frustration at himself, or was it frustration that a ball where he could have caught in stride and possibly curled it off into a touchdown was thrown behind him, to where he had to make a remarkable play after he had already gotten wide open. I honestly, watching the man, I think he was more frustrated at the ball, but he would never say that, because he's a great team player, regardless of what you say, regardless of what anybody says about him. He's a great team player, and he would never throw anybody under the bus. I'm going to sound a little bit all over the place, because a couple weeks ago I was telling you that, or maybe last week, I was telling you that trading Jamo, if this thing doesn't work out, would be the first thing that I would do. But again, it's not any fault of Jamo's own. It's just the situation that we're in. I would say that drop pass was about 35% Jamo's fault and 65% Jared Goff's fault. And here's why. I have defended Jared Goff all year. There was a game, I don't remember which game it was, but Jared Goff, you said he had you said that was the Jared Goff game. And again, every time you say that, I typically come to this man's defense. I say he hasn't had a catastrophic disaster of a game all season, and I still hold firm to that belief. But yesterday, I said I was accepting all Goff slander after that game, and after watching the game, because I was listening to the third, fourth quarter on the radio, and I kind of went back and rewatched it last night, this morning. So I watched the whole game, and Goff didn't play as poorly as I thought. I did. You texted it to me, but I missed that play where again, it was an opportunity for Jamo to have a big play. It was a double pass to Montgomery, who was supposed to pass it back to Goff, who was supposed to bomb it deep, but like you said, Goff fumbled it. Couldn't get he was basically looking downfield before he brought the ball in. That's why he's not a receiver. But that being said, man,
that would have been a big play too. I just feel like that would have been. You couldn't see downfield, so you don't know who was open. But I think Jamo was open on that play.
Yeah, he had to be. He had to be because yeah, he couldn't wait to get that ball down to him, and it just didn't work at all. So you got that. But yesterday, man, I was thinking about it, and like I said, I've defended Goff. I said, hey, if you were expecting Goff to be mobile, that's on you. We know Goff's not mobile. If you're expecting Goff to bomb it deep every time, that's on you. We know that's not who that man is. So on and so forth. But to that particular Jamo pass, Goff, if you are not one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the league, then what are you doing here? What what is your claim to fame? Because I was really just I was really just meditating on it, man. And it's like, oh, well, if you don't give Jared Goff protection, then he's not going to be able to be as efficient as he possibly can be. Okay. But I mean, damn, how many quarterbacks in the league can you say the same thing about? Like, if you give, Sam Darnold plenty of time, Sam Darnold will look great out there. And honestly, the difference between Sam Darnold and Jared Goff, I'm still waiting on Jared Goff to pull away in that conversation, because it's really not that big of a gap unless you look at the paychecks.
The last 2 years, I will say Sam Darnold and Jared Goff are running neck and neck. Jared Goff has got a little advantage over Sam Darnold because of the years that Sam Darnold was. I mean, before last year, Sam Darnold was not making any noise in the league. in the league. And matter of fact, it was almost presumed that his career was pretty much over with. And then he stepped up last year and reestablished himself. So
The
golf has
same,
got a little bit.
well, the same could be said about Jared Goff too, when he got booted out of L.A.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think golf was a little bit more successful than Sam Darnold. I mean, when you think of Sam Darnold, I mean, his years in Carolina didn't help him out any at all. But for me, that the game that I blame golf for was that Philadelphia game. He was awful that game, awful. And yesterday was nowhere near like it was that game. Couple of drops. He dropped the ball. I think I seen Jameer Gibbs drop the ball. JMO dropped the ball. I mean, it was just we got to stop dropping balls, man. I don't know what it is about this year where we just can't get our offense clicking and make those plays that we know we can make, that we always make. And this year it's just not working. But that being said, like I said, the offense yesterday played better than I've seen them play in weeks. Well, okay, we still put up 24 points, and we would have had 24 if instead of that drop pass, which it did. I can't take it away. It did work. It did work. J-Mo dropped the ball. The play wasn't executed by the players, but the play did work, and it was there. But I would have took that stuff. I would have took those 3 points in that position. And you know me, I'm the guy that never has a problem with going for it on fourth down. But situational ball is the fourth quarter. We down 10. We need 3. It's fourth down. Get to 3 and then come back and get to 7 is the way I would have played that one. If it was, I don't know, maybe if it was a 7-point game, then I would have went for it in that moment. You know what I'm saying? But you need 3 anyway, so take the 3 at that moment. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. Like I said, the play was there, and Jamo's got to make that catch. Golf's got to make that throw.
You referenced Philly. Again, I'm not gonna say that was his worst game. Because you're in Philly with high winds on the road, primetime football against the defending Super Bowl champions versus you're at home against a team that's already beat you on Thanksgiving, indoor conditions. Like, if you ask me which game should you play better in, I'm gonna say the Thanksgiving Day game 9 times out of 10.
And yeah, but he did play better than he did in that game. Like if I would have taken the golf yesterday over the golf that played in that Philly game, because he was inaccurate. He was throwing balls into the ground. The balls weren't even reaching the receivers. And on more than one occasion, you thought that he threw the ball behind J-Mo yesterday. He did that on more than one occasion in the Philly game. And on top of that, he was throwing the ball to people who weren't even there. So yeah. He yesterday wasn't his best game, but it was nowhere near as bad as the Philly game.
Yeah, the question wasn't though which game did he play better in. The question is which game did you want to see more out of him in said game? So you wanted to see more out of him in Philly, and I'm telling you, I would have wanted to see more out of him from yesterday, because yesterday was a day that we needed him to be elite because the defense wasn't showing up. And essentially, I needed him to outduel Jordan Love, which on any regular conversation, I wouldn't even think that that's that hard of a task. Jordan Love the week before, we talked about it, was like 160 yards through the air. That's the end of his stats. 160 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions, no nothing. He just threw 160 yards. He comes in here yesterday and doesn't throw over 300 yards, but he just throws 4 touchdowns with all the time in the world.
Yeah, I don't know, but teams seem to step up against our defense. Jordan Love played a hell of a game yesterday, and the Jordan Love that everybody everybody expects Jordan Love to be showed up yesterday. And I don't know if it's because people get amped up and they know they got to put their best game on against the Lions or what. But some of those throws that Jordan Love was making yesterday was just, I mean, good throws. I mean, he played up to his talent yesterday. You know what I'm saying? And usually, like to your point, usually we don't see that. Same thing with Jameis Winston last week. Um, Jameis Winston comes in and he makes a mistake, but against the Lions, he played up to his talent and he was making like good throws. Like a lot of the throws that I seen, it's like I couldn't take nothing away from him. That was a good throw. That was a good catch. Like a lot of those plays, some of those plays weren't defendable. I mean, maybe the defender could have been in a better place, but some of those catches were just, I'm like, dang, that was just a good throw and a good catch.
Is it fair? I don't know if it's fair, but it's sports, it's competition, it's the competitive nature of being an athlete, and it's, hey, I feel a certain type of way about the opposing quarterback coming into my stadium and outperforming me. And it's, and Jameis Winston and Jordan Love are two good quarterbacks, but the reverence and the respect that people put on Jared Goff's name, I just refuse to accept that. The defense is bad and Jared did his best. I can't have that conversation after that. But we've already talked about Jared. Go ahead.
No, I get where you're coming from, and I'm with you. I've been saying all year that Jared does have to play better, man. He is a franchise, and the question has been for the last 2 years. I'm not gonna put the third year on him, but the last 2 years, the question has been: is Jared good golf enough to get you over the hump? We all, I feel like we all feel like he can get us to the Super Bowl, but can he win a Super Bowl? I mean, and whenever time you argue anything Jared Goff or put any discrepancy on Jared Goff, the thing that everybody defends Jared Goff with is, oh, but he made it to a Super Bowl. He made it to a Super Bowl. Yeah, but he made it to a Super Bowl. Okay, he made it to the Super Bowl, but he never won the Super Bowl. So is Jared Goff the guy that's going to be able to win you that Super Bowl? In the regular season, the way he plays some games, I will say yes. But then there are just some games that he plays, and you just like, I don't think so, man. And in order to make it all the way through the playoffs, he's going to have to overcome some of those hardships. He's going to have to overcome some of the not being in the most ideal situation. He's going to have to overcome losing his number one receiver in certain situations and having to step up and depend on other guys to pick up the slack. The thing about him not throwing the ball to people because he doesn't trust them has got to end, man. There are guys, if guys are open, you got to throw the ball to them. You know what I'm saying?
How many times do we joke about, oh, this quarterback doesn't have anybody to throw to, and he's out there throwing the guys we never heard of? Like, that's going on all around the league. So yeah, your number one, your number two is down, but you still got capable receivers, regardless of how good your rapport is with them.
Yeah, he finally did throw the ball to Isaac Tesla for a touchdown, but I think there were like two more plays where Tesla was open and he could have threw it to Tesla, but he hesitated, and that hesitation got him sacked. I think one of those plays was like a fourth down play or a third down play. Towards the end of the game, man, and if he had just threw it, I honestly think Tesla would have got another touchdown, but he held onto the ball. Held onto the ball long enough for Michael Parsons to come in and make a sack on him on fourth down. So yeah, man, no, I'm with you. I do think that Jared Goff needs to be better, but I'm not putting yesterday on him. I'm putting yesterday on the defense. To your point, one guy in particular that you've been hard on, Aiden Hutchinson. Aiden Hutchinson did nothing yesterday. I didn't see. I don't know what his stats were. I saw him make a tackle when Jordan Love was running, but it wasn't a sack because he ran past the line of scrimmage, and he did make a save on the tackle. But I need more from Aiden Hutchinson, man. His little spin move that once he gets 10 yards into the 7 yards into the backfield, and he does his little spin. Like I don't know if people have seen that on film, but it's like they're waiting for it because once he makes that spin, they just like, oh, I got you. You know what I'm saying? And it's like that's it. Once he does that little spin move, play over.
Oh, you got me again.
Right.
So,
good play. Good play.
Got it again.
Yeah, good play, dog. Yeah. Oh, yeah, dang, yeah, man. You good. You good.
6 tackles to answer your question. That was the stats yesterday. 6 tackles. No QB hit,
for loss.
no tackles for loss, no sacks. He basically was a glorified linebacker yesterday. Opposed to Micah Parsons' performance yesterday was 8 tackles, 2.5 sacks, 3 tackles for loss, and 4 QB hits. You know, and so you already know. I actually, before you even started, I had that queued up for the next thing I was going to bring up because I said it wouldn't be a whole lot to talk about. So we might as well get that out of the way. And yeah, that's the performance of Aiden Hutchinson, who has, I said last week that I was hoping that sack to end the game was going to be the spark plug that got him going, and he started carrying that momentum and going on a tear, going forward, and it absolutely was not. The counter to that play against Jameis Winston and the Giants being the spark plug, the counter argument to that would have been it's the Giants. And I would have said, and usually that's something I would have said, but no, I was trying to be positive. I was trying to look on the bright side, and I said, hey, maybe this is what gets him going. And it didn't. Jordan Love had all the time in the world. He was never under any duress, in my opinion, in that game. They sped up his clock, but it wasn't much. He already had in his mind where he's going to go, so nobody ever threatened him in any way. And a majority of that comes down to Hutch because, like you said, man, that's your like Jared Goff is your franchise offensive player. Hutchinson is your franchise defensive player. Brad Holmes has told us that there are only a handful of elite edges in this league, and he said that Hutch is one of them. I don't know, man. This is one of those ones because the next topic is another one of those ones. It's so many people on this team. Now, Jared Goff, yeah, you can in reality, you can replace Jared Goff and nothing would change. I'm sorry, nothing would change. You could replace Jared Goff and the structure of this team will still be intact.
Right.
I don't know what it would look like to replace Hutchinson, nor is anybody asking that we replace Hutchinson. But just like I told you a couple weeks ago, I'm not calling for his head, but at the same time, it's just a tough situation that he's a very good player. and that's it. I read you Micah Parsons stats, who Micah Parsons is regarded as an elite player, and people around here and some people around the league consider Hutchinson to be an elite edge rusher. And I don't think that he is an elite edge rusher. I think that he's a very good player. And to your point, had you brought in a Jared Verse, I was just thinking last night, he hasn't had a spectacular season or anything like that, but you should have brought in Mike Green, because what is Tyleik Williams really doing for this team right now? Tyleik Williams isn't doing anything. You brought in a free agent, Roy Lopez, who is just miles and miles better than Tyleik Williams. And maybe down the road, Tyleik Williams will be something. But if you would have brought in Josh Green, Mike Green, I'm sorry. If you would have brought in Mike Green, you're putting a Lee McNeil at edge. So Mike Green would have got the reps, and either he's going to be a bum and it's going to be a wasted draft pick, or he's going to get the reps and he's going to get better. But just to go out there with Hutch and say, hey, McNeil, you guys are going to work together, and hey, we're going to bring in Davenport on the opposite side. That sounds like a terrible idea. And if you want to see what it looks like in being executed, just watch the Green Bay game yesterday, and that's what that idea looks like on paper, and that's what it looks like in reality.
Yeah, man, and yeah, man. So, and that's what I was going to say right before you said it. That that I think that Hutch is on the caliber right below Micah Parsons and Myles Garrett and them. I'm not going to say he doesn't have potential to be one of those players because we've seen flashes of it, but I don't know what it is with Hutch, man. I don't know if it's a mental thing or what, because or if it's a physical thing, because it's like there's no way that Hutch shouldn't be getting the pressure. Like if you watch Hutch gets the pressure into the back. Hutch is in the backfield almost every play. You know what I'm saying? He's there, but like I said, he gets so many yards back into the backfield, and then he just does nothing with it. Either he's inches away from the quarterback and he just can't get to him. He runs past him, or like I said, he does a spin move and then it just kind of sputters out. But he's always in the backfield. So, you know what I'm saying? I'm not sure if it's a physical thing or just a mental thing, because then every time they show Hutch, man, on our team, dog, I see no one out of breath more than Hutch. Every time they show Hutch, man, that you may as well. I like, man, give that man some oxygen, because Hutch is always out of breath. Every time they show the man on the camera, he's sucking in as much wind as he can, and half the time he's out of breath running back in after he just took 2 plays off, and he's still out of breath. So I don't know what to think of Hutchinson, man. But anyway, yeah, I was thinking that, and this has just been what I've said, even though Brad says we're good. I've been thinking that for the last 2 years. If you get another edge on the other side of Hutch, then that makes all the difference. Hutch was the guy he was in Michigan because he had Ajabo on the other end. You know what I'm saying? And you had both of those ends coming in causing pressure. Yeah, that took some of the pressure off of him. If you throw the low onto Hutch all by itself, I don't think that's who Hutch is, man. But if you get somebody to compliment Hutch, I think he strives in that defense. And as much as everybody's talking about wait till Davenport comes back, I mean, he gets hurt, but when he's in the game, then you know what I'm saying, it makes all the difference. He's a good player in the game. Well, I seen Davenport in the game yesterday, and he did nothing, to the point where they put Aleem Neal back on the edge. And like that was supposed to fix that situation. You know what I'm saying? Aleem Neal wasn't gonna have to go back on the edge. And dog, why do they keep putting Aleem on the edge? Dog? Aleem is not a defensive end. That man is a defensive tackle. He needs to be in the defensive tackle spot.
The same way I feel about Hutchinson is that we not gifted, but we got the number 2 pick, right? And Hutchinson is the player that we got. It just so happened that Micah Parsons wasn't Micah Parsons wasn't in that draft, or Max Crosby was a late pick. They found Max Crosby, but Myles Garrett wasn't in that draft, so on and so forth. So we got Hutchinson. And that's the cards that we were dealt. And now we got Hutch. So what are we going to do with Hutch is the question. And now we got Dan Campbell. And what are we going to do with Dan Campbell? Because a divorce from Dan Campbell isn't even it's not even on the table, right? So Dan Campbell is the Detroit Lions. But that
Right.
being said, Dan Campbell said something a week or two ago. It was after the Philly game. He said after the Philly game, and people were like, "Well, that was just a bad game." He went 0 for 5 on fourth down, but everybody to a T. I think he can learn from this though. I think he'll learn from this. I think he'll take this going forward. And I felt like I was the only person who was like, what? This is the Dallas Cowboys game all over again, where he spit in the face of conventional wisdom and did what he wanted to do because he thought that he could just out tough his opponent. And he's done that before, and he had the opportunity in Philadelphia, and he did it again. And I said, the idea that Dan Campbell's going to learn anything, it's not about learning anything. He knows this. It's not about whether or not he thinks, and he says, oh, well, I got a system or I got a feel and all of this. No. At the end of the day, if you give Dan Campbell fourth down, less than 5 yards, he's going to go for it. unless he's on his own 5 yard line. Maybe if he's on his own 5 yard line, he'll think about it. But if you give him fourth down, less than 5 yards, and the last, he's gonna go for it. So that being said, yesterday he had an opportunity to kick the field goal, like you said, down by 10, need 2 scores. You did everything you could to get into that position, and he just. It wasn't even a question. It wasn't even a timeout. It wasn't to let the play clock go down. It wasn't to draw him off sides. None of that. He just sent his guys out there to run the play, and it didn't work out. And you say, well, if they would have executed, which is something that I've said before. I heard him say it on the radio today, but that's part of the gamble, man. That's part of the gamble. You got faith in your guys and everything, and then but then on the flip side, you got no faith in the defense, which is the same mistake that you made in prior games where you didn't have any faith in your defense. To Dan Campbell's defense, the defense played like ass all day, so he's probably like, I'm just gonna go with the offense. But again, that's not a very calculated way to go about things. Is, hey, this has been going on all day, so I'm just gonna keep on doing it. Are you still under the camp that Dan Campbell's going to learn from this? He's going to learn from this one, though. And the next time he might consider kicking the field goal.
Yeah, man. I'm still in that camp because I've seen Dan Campbell do it before. Like, people talk about Dan Campbell like he doesn't kick field goals. I mean, like, if we were in year 2 and if we were in year 2, I would say to the answer to my question would be like, I don't know. I don't know if he's going to learn from that because in year 2, he never did kick a field goal. He went for it every single time. But in year 3, he did start kicking more field goals. We started seeing more field goals and more punts out of Dan than we had ever seen before. But and so I don't think that the problem is.
Year 3, real quick. Year 3 last year year 3 was last year, right?
No, this is year 5. Last year was year 4.
Okay.
Good. Now, I think what the problem is, I don't think the problem is that he's not learning from it. What I think the problem is that in year 3, we started getting those, or we started being on the plus side of the average and converting those fourth down plays. And for the last I want to say 2 years, those fourth downs, have been successful. We've had an 80% rate at converting those fourth downs. And I think that he's come to the decision that this offense can make those type of plays. Now, what I do think he needs to learn is that this year that completion, that 80% completion, hasn't been this year. And I think that he thinks that since we have the exact same offense, well, pretty much the exact same offense, that he can still make those type of calls and those type of plays. But data has shown you that our offense is not as good as it's been the last couple of years, mainly because of our offensive line. So to your point, I feel like what he does need to learn is how to be more calculated in going for fourth down. Like I said, I'm a fan of the fourth down, man. I like going for it on fourth down, but yesterday you needed 10. It was the fourth quarter. I think it was like 7 minutes left on the clock. Take the 3 points because that's half of what you that's one of the scores that you need to tie the game up. So I think I don't think he's going off field this season. I think he's just going off muscle memory.
That's an interesting way to put it. I would say, just to bring my point home, that I'm not in the camp that he's going to learn. It's like I said, I firmly believe that it's not about learning or the feel or the analytics or any of that. I think at Dan Campbell's core, he thinks that his team should be better and stronger and more prepared and tougher than his opponent. And he's never going to go into a game where he feels like the opponent is those things more than his team. So by that mentality, he's always going to go for it because he always feels like he can get it. And my prime example, I would like the jury to take a look at Exhibit A. In year 3 that you talked about earlier, year 3 ended on a fourth down attempt in which you had the opportunity to kick the field goal, but instead you went for it on fourth down. The play was there, just like it was yesterday, and it all came crashing down when your receiver dropped the ball. Now, is there nothing to learn from that situation? Because if you just say, well, the receiver dropped the ball, I'm going to run it back again, and now you did it yesterday, and the receiver dropped the ball, and you lost the game yesterday. So the third time when you have an opportunity to kick the field goal, what are you going to say? Well, Josh Reynolds and J-Mo just can't catch, but I know this guy's going to catch.
Detroit